Our top story. The Taliban's co-founder is in Kabul for talks to form a new government. Mullah Baradar's presence in the capital comes as the group plans to unveil its governing framework. The Taliban is promising to hold its members accountable if reports of crimes and atrocities are verified. A spokesman told the Reuters news agency members will be investigated if they were responsible. Charlotte Bellis is in Kabul with more on the Taliban's plans for future government.
I talked to some Taliban members the other day and they said it's still very much in flux. Negotiations are ongoing. Mullah Baradar came in from Doha. He's their political chief. He landed in Kandahar earlier this week and has brought a high-level delegation to Kabul as part of forming this new government, negotiating even with former government leaders. We know Anas Haqqani, who's also part of the political commission in Doha, he's also been holding talks this week. He met with former President Hamid Karzai, he met with former CEO Abdullah. So they are at least trying to fold in, it would seem, some of these former government leaders into some type of new Taliban government. We even understand Ahmad Massoud, who is holding one of the last pockets of resistance in Afghanistan in the Panjshir Valley against the Taliban, that even he is in talks with the Taliban at this moment. They do tell us that there's no time for elections. They also say that a new constitution is on the cards, but there's still very little information coming out from the movement at this time about what we can expect from their government. As far as life in Kabul goes this morning, it is quite bizarre that it is almost identical to how it was a week ago under the Ghani government. Government employees have gone back to work. The Taliban has asked everyone to resume their lives as normal. The streets are busy because this is the first day of the work week in Afghanistan, and people have gone back to work as normal. There have been some incidents at the airport this morning, but as far as Kabul Central goes, it has been very quiet.
Afghans are facing major obstacles as they try to leave the country, including, as Charlotte was saying there, Taliban roadblocks and problems with paperwork. She has the latest from Kabul.
Circling in front of Kabul International Airport, the gates are closed. The Taliban, with their commandeered US weapons and vehicles, run security. No one can get through. Even filming on the street is not allowed. The Taliban has dispersed crowds of people. They now wait further down Airport Road.
This is my father's certificate.
It's there we meet Izzatullah. His father worked as a guard for 2 US contractors.
So this is your father, is
Hayatuddin.
Hayatuddin.
Yes.
He comes here every day to plead his father's case for evacuation.
I am scared, but what can I do? The Taliban run after us, they chase us, they beat us. I saw women under people's feet in a stampede. I saw a dead body taken from the airport and put in a car. We have no other option.
The Taliban is in charge of securing the airport and protecting US forces and evacuees from being overrun. They are forceful in their crowd control, relying on gunfire and beatings to disperse the thousands who gather. US forces can be seen around the perimeter, just meters from Taliban patrols. People plead their case for evacuation, raising paperwork to the tower, but they are asked to move on. Afghans complain Americans have fired towards them also.
We're even scared of bringing our documents with us every day. We're here because we want them to do something for us, because we've done them favors and now we're left here without a future.
Every day the numbers of Afghans looking for an exit swells. Hundreds gather outside the British, French and Canadian embassies. Hope spreads, but rumours spread faster. Most Western embassies have closed, but they don't know that. 20,000 applicants have applied for US special immigrant visas, including their families. It's estimated 70,000 are eligible for evacuation. There are thousands more foreign nationals and Afghans who worked with other nations, also waiting for a flight out.
More than 18,000 people have been evacuated since the Taliban took over on Sunday. And still, the US is expanding its eligibility criteria and doubling the number of evacuation flights from this weekend.
Yet many people tell us they are too scared to come to the airport because it would mean passing Taliban checkpoints. For those that do attempt it, they brace for crowds and gunfire and the disappointment that they will likely be left behind.
About 13 countries have agreed to host Afghan asylum seekers. Colombia is one of them. On Friday, the President, Ivan Duque, said Afghans waiting for permits to resettle in the U.S. would be allowed in.
Colombia también se une al grupo de países.
Colombia is also joining the group of allied countries that will also support to the United States for those Afghan nationals who have served the United States for years and who are in the process of registering and migrating to that country so that they can stay in Colombia temporarily. The United States will not only cover all the detention costs for these people, but will also speed up all the processes.
The US President Joe Biden has thanked the Emir of Qatar in a call for the country's support in getting people out. Those evacuated to Qatar include more than 300 mostly female students and 200 media personnel. More flights are being planned for the coming few days. Mr. Biden says the US has evacuated about 13,000 people from Afghanistan since last Saturday. His administration's plan to withdraw American troops has been under scrutiny following the Taliban's rapid takeover, but he said significant progress has been made in the evacuation of Americans, allies and vulnerable Afghans since Monday. Mike Hanna has more on the US reaction with this report from Washington.
Beyond the grim scenes around Kabul airport, the US is continuing to ramp up its efforts to evacuate its citizens. It's also sent more State Department officials to Kuwait and Qatar to process special immigrant visas. President Biden has reiterated his commitment to safely evacuate every American citizen who wants to leave, along with thousands of Afghans who worked with the US. He's also described the last week as heartbreaking and warns the mission remains dangerous.
Make no mistake, this evacuation mission is dangerous. It involves risks to our armed forces, and it's being conducted under difficult circumstances. I cannot promise what the final outcome will be, or what it will be, that it will be without risk of loss. But as Commander-in-Chief, I can assure you that I will mobilize every resource necessary.
It didn't take long for the politics of the Afghan crisis to come into play. Republican Representative Mike Rogers issued a statement accusing Biden of once again ignoring reality on Afghanistan. He continues, "There are thousands of Americans in Taliban-controlled territories around the country, and the Biden-Harris administration cannot provide an accurate accounting of how many Americans are left." A Pentagon spokesman confirmed that some U.S. troops were still on their way to help secure Kabul airport. The total number is likely to rise to more than 6,000.
The main focus is on security at the airport and making sure that, as the general said, that air operations resume and continue as unimpeded as possible. But clearly, we will be prepared and postured if we had to do something additional. But I won't speculate right now.
But still no indication as to how free passage will be guaranteed for those who are not able to get through the Taliban cordon around the airport. President Biden has cancelled a planned trip to his home in Wilmington and is staying on at the White House through the weekend to continue to monitor the situation.
Thank you very, very much.
And also perhaps to prepare members of his administration for the grilling they are likely to face when Congress reconvenes to be briefed next week. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And Indonesia has evacuated dozens of its diplomats and others from Afghanistan. A military plane carrying Indonesian nationals, Filipinos and a few Afghans landed in Jakarta overnight. Indonesia has temporarily moved its diplomatic mission to neighbouring Pakistan. Malaysia's new Prime Minister has been sworn in. Ismail Sabri Yaakob was formally appointed on Friday as Malaysia's 9th Prime Minister after the resignation of Muhyiddin Yassin. He'll be the 3rd new Premier in less than 4 years. The former